Hey everybody, welcome back to the World Magic Cup. Here we are in Indianapolis, and we've got the top 8. We're all set to go. The stage is set for what's going to be a pretty sweet tournament today. I think that there's a lot of surprising names here in this top 8. I definitely wouldn't have predicted that it would have come out exactly the way it did. We've seen a lot of exciting team play over the course of the last 2 days, and going into today, we're going to see even more. It's team constructed today, and let's take a quick look at what we have for the pairings as we go forward. So in our first match, we have the first seed is Croatia. Now, they've got a lot of heavy hitters on this team. I don't think that we're super surprised to see them here.
No, absolutely not. I mean, good Maritic, we added the booth, we were talking to him. The entire team is actually the 3 players with the highest amount of pro points in the entire country of all time.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, we've had a couple of teams like that. Scotland, you know, we heard Rich Hagon yesterday say, you know, if you could have just handcrafted the Scottish team, this is probably what you would have come up with. It's similar here in Croatia, that.
Yeah, and they've got a really innovative standard deck, mono green infect, that's really been tearing up the tournament. You know, no play testing, a lot of theory crafting, but they wrote down a list and realized it beat the entire format, and they have been just tearing up the field with that.
Yeah, we got a chance to see that one on camera. Stefan Sucic played it, and that deck was really impressive.
In a day today, there's going to be a lot of David versus Goliath.
Yeah,
This is one of the Goliaths.
for sure. This is definitely one of the heavy hitters that we're going to expect to see pretty big performance from today. Okay, they are going to be playing against Puerto Rico. Crazy, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
America's so good that it gets 2 teams. These Puerto Rican guys are tough. You saw it on their face from the moment they walked in their door. Their champion, Jorge Aramain, is also a judge. His brother, Francisco Aramain, also is a level 2 judge. Happens to be here at the event, so there's a nice little family tie-in for them. But they just kept plugging on. They were like, we came, nobody knew who we were, but we're going to make it. They had a reasonable expectation of making day 2.
Okay.
And then once they got to day 2, they sort of set aside the idea that they didn't belong at this table and said, we do belong at this table, and you know what? We're going to win this thing.
That's a fantastic attitude. Okay, we've actually got a graphic so that we can take a look at the top 8 brackets as a whole. So why don't we bring that up for you at home, and we're going to keep going through this. So next we have number 4 is Poland. And we saw, again, yesterday, I thought very solid performances from the Polish team. I don't think you can count them out at this point in any way. I think that they're one of the contenders.
Yeah, of course.
Agreed. Again, good, solid play. Fair number of pro points among them.
Yeah.
You can see them. You saw them all weekend. Just get in there, play Magic. When they built their team sealed, nice team cohesive event attitude as they went in. Because team sealed can go sideways sometimes.
Oh, it sure can.
Especially really strong players may have disagreements. There's just not one way that a sealed deck gets built.
Right.
Especially in the team format. So you can see headbutting sometimes. These guys sailed through it, got through the round, and here they are in the top 8.
And you really need a strong player in the driver's seat for something like Team Sealed, someone really providing direction to the team. And Tomek Peterakowski has had a really phenomenal season, extremely talented player, provides some well-needed leadership for the team that's taken them this far.
Absolutely. We saw Matthias Kopech on camera as well play very well. Now, the next team that we have, the Philippines. Right. So, I mean, I think that this is one of the potential Davids.
I don't think potential.
I think we need another name at this point. Yeah. People running around.
Well, there's a lot of people vying for.
How many Goliath?
How about upset?
I'll take that.
Yeah, so they're going to be playing against Poland in this round, and I mean, they'd have to be considered an underdog coming in. But at the same time, sometimes when you're in a team-based sport, I mean, whatever you want to call it, you get on a run. You just put it together, things click, it starts working, you get confidence in each other, you get confidence in yourself, and you can just put it together. And, they find themselves in the top 8 of the World Magic Cup here. And there's really nothing saying that they can't just put together a streak and finish it off.
Everybody in this top 8 belongs here.
Well, exactly.
And they've demonstrated that they belong here because they're here. I don't want to get too philosophical, but they earned it. There was a long day of grindy magic starting on Friday, and they played it. They won enough matches, and they got here.
Yeah.
So, especially in elimination rounds, like Marshall said, a team gets on a streak, and they're in.
Yeah.
The fact that, remember, we have 4 players on each team.
Right.
These aren't 3 individual matches. These are 3 team matches. One guy can't do all the work.
Right.
Right.
But one of the great things about the team environment is you also can't sort of go rogue, because you have to convince 3 other guys that what you want to do right now is good enough to do.
And sometimes I think that makes players even better. Sometimes people go too far off the beaten path. They try to get too tricky, and a little bit of a group think can help keep them in check. All right, let's move on to the next bracket. In 3rd seed, we have Chinese Taipei coming in. Now, another team that this team has very strong leadership. Zach, can you talk about Su Ching Kuo? We've heard his name a lot this weekend, and he seems to be a pretty heavy hitter.
Well, I mean, Su Ching Kuo is a master.
Yeah.
He's had a phenomenal season. Every time we've had him on camera, watching him play Magic, I mean, he is truly one of the most talented players in the entire game today. And I think he's provided a really solid foundation for the rest of the team. Like you said, making sure as an anchor that no one's really sort of going off the deep end, as it were. Of course, has a lot of support in the team. We talked about how everyone in this top 8 has gotten here by winning matches. It's important to remember, like 75% of the people in this tournament have got there because they've won another tournament.
Exactly.
And then obviously Kwa got here because he's just smashing everyone else on the planet at Magic Pro Tours. And so, I mean, you've got a really solid base of talent. They've got to be one of the favorites coming into today.
Yeah, and you can see as a 3rd seed that they proved that. Now, they're up against the 6th seed Slovak Republic, although they have been seeded higher earlier in the tournament. They were first, I believe, coming out of the first day, and this team has a lot of heavy hitters on it.
Well, definitely the Slovak Republic. When people were talking about this event coming into it, the 2 teams that kept popping up were Belgium and the Slovak Republic.
Yeah.
They've won the team portion of the World Championships before. Obviously, you have Robert Jurkovic, powerhouse player, a lot of depth to that team. Really, I think, they came in strong, and they have represented, they have performed to expectations so far.
I mean, even Flock is Scottie Pippen on to Jurkovic Jordan. This guy solid. I watched him play in 2 feature matches.
Sure.
They play. You're right. They were one of the Goliaths coming in. They were one of the teams that people picked in their top 4. It was no surprise. They got into this thing by the skin of their teeth yesterday. They had what they thought was a win and in match against Puerto Rico, but it was win and need some help to get in.
Wow.
And they got some help from France, which we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Yeah.
How they got in, but I mean, it was the 11th hour before they knew they were going to be in this top 8.
Yeah.
And they didn't know for sure until the round timer went off. Wow. So there's this got to be the sense of relief that they were a heavy favorite coming in, almost missed out.
Yeah.
Now, it's better to almost have missed out than having missed out, like some of our other, our Canadas, our USAs, our Belgiums that didn't make it. So they're certainly serious contenders.
Yeah. All right, last bracket. 2nd seed, Scotland. They have really put up big numbers, a huge performance here this weekend. These guys came to play. Like I said earlier, Richard Hagan, he knows these guys. They're relatively local. He said they come down to the English PTQs. They all stay at each other's houses when they go up to the other ones as well. We've got a graphic we can show of the Scottish team looking
that's awesome.
Looking very happy. One very serious member there in the middle. He means business. He's not done until they win the thing. But yeah, and these guys have really smashed. They've kind of end-to-ended this thing. I mean, they're coming in 2nd, and they've been at the top of the boards the whole way through. They're certainly one of the teams capable of taking this thing down. I mean, I think everybody here is, but these are the guys. This is one of the teams that you would really look to actually win this tournament.
What I like about them is attitude. They have the same attitude, win or lose. They've got this air about them that it almost doesn't matter. Now, they've been mostly winning all weekend, but even when they were losing, they were the same fun-loving, we're having a great time. Yeah, we're going to be serious about playing Magic, but I think an attitude like that keeps the pressure off of you. If you don't heap pressure onto yourself, you're free to do a lot more things. You're free to do what you came to do.
And that's really tough to do, manage that, especially with so much going on here. It's a big stage for a lot of these guys.
And I don't think it's accidental that you've seen that in the Croatian team too. Even when they've been in really intense matches, they've been sort of joking with each other, kind of laughing with their opponents.
We've seen some pretty funny stuff, you and I, this weekend from the Croatian team.
Yeah, exactly.
Best plan. Yeah, we've seen some great stuff.
Right, but being in that position, I've played a lot of Pro Tours now, and sometimes you stress yourself out and you just fail to see what's in front of you if you get too tense.
Well, you don't start thinking about doing the things you need to do to win.
Right.
You start thinking about the consequences of losing.
Totally.
And you get your mindset gets totally turned upside down from what it needs to be. And you guys both know at the elite level of anything, you have to go in visualizing the win.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Not worrying about the loss.
So we'll see if Andrew Morrison and company can do that. Also, they're wearing their kilts, so there's an intimidation factor that's carried with that. Now, Hungary is the last team that we have here. They are the 7th seed coming in, but they're perennially, they often have good players from Hungary, right? I mean, you've been playing. You play against a bunch of players from Hungary, or?
Yeah, I have. The best in the current team they're fielding is really good. I think Thomas Nagy has had some really solid results. Again, a lot of depth to the team. They come from a long heritage of Magic, and it's so important to just have the community around you that is constantly keeping you on your toes and really sort of forcing your skills not to atrophy and really bringing their best players to the top.
Great play, being around great play and great players keeps you sharp, makes you better. If you're far and above the best player in the group of players you're playing with, you're probably helping them get a lot better.
Right.
But you're at the diminishing returns point. You're not getting better because you don't have to do any work.
Right.
You don't have to come up with new solutions. You don't have to go outside the box. Being around great players, and Thomas Nagy is a great player, in a tradition, especially in a country with a tradition of some pretty good Magic players, going back even to some of the older days, that they have put up some of the European powerhouses. You get good, you stay good, and obviously they're doing well enough to compete here at the World Magic Cup.
Yeah, and I like to see when I take a look at the stats for the teams as well. These little bit younger, hungrier teams. We get a few teams out here that are kind of grizzled veterans, like they've been here, they know what they're doing, and they're all business. But these teams tend to mix things up a little bit, and for some of these guys, it's their first chance to play on the big stage. They win a World Magic Cup qualifier, and they find themselves playing with some of the best players from their country, and and they come in, and I think we're going to see sort of a nice mix of that here from the Hungary team. Now, predictions?
I'm going with my Cinderella team, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico all the way? All right, so Puerto Rico is facing down the #1 seed with Croatia and one of the strongest teams left in the top 8. So Cinderella indeed.
I mean, I'm not sure Puerto Rico is poised to win this thing.
Yeah, but you want them to.
I want them to win. This would be a story. This tiny island sending 4 guys to the World Magic Cup and bringing home the hardware would be one of the most insane stories of the year.
Especially now that, the format that we have here at the World Magic Cup involves, the whole focus is team play, right? I mean, all we're
Right.
talking about are teams here. There's no, well, I won the individual championship, but my team didn't do too well. Like, we're talking about team play here, and if they win, it's Puerto Rico all over, daily MTG, and everybody gets to see it. How about you, Zach? Who are you pulling for here?
I've got, I guess, two of my favorites. First, I've got to contradict Sheldon. I think Croatia's got a really good vibe. I mean, they started out very early at the top of the standings. Not to be outdone, they then went 3-0 in their pod. Had a rock-solid finish, 2-1 in the one after that. So, I mean, they've been doing a lot of winning. Watching them play on camera, all three excellent players that are still playing right now.
We saw some really good play. You and I from the booth yesterday.
Oh, it was outstanding.
Croatia really impressed me.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy, I think, playing a deck that can kill your opponent on the second turn of the game, as he did, to just get carried away. But I was talking with him after the match yesterday. Yeah, with Stepan, and he was saying that, like, the deck can play all three roles. He said it can be an aggro deck, it can be a combo deck, and it can be a control deck. And he was talking about how that happened, and to really understand that level and understand those interactions without having, I mean, he literally had never played the deck before.
Wow.
And he had still understood that. I mean, I feel like they just have a depth of understanding of Magic that is going to serve them really well.
Sure.
The other team I really think is Chinese Taipei. Su Jinhua, again, like I said, I think one of the best players in the game. At the previous Pro Tour, he was put into a position where if he lost, he got basically nothing this entire season. If he drew, I had it nice and safe and secure, but he's like, no, I'm going to play. I know I'm good.
Wow.
If he won, he got level 8. Was on the line. He took that chance. He won. He made it pay off.
So he's platinum.
Now he's platinum.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
He knows.
I'm going to agree with Zach on, if I was going to pick one of the Goliaths, I kind of like Chinese Taipei. I just like the power of the team and the laser sharp focus that they brought to the event. They came to win.
Yeah, I think Scotland's going to take this thing down.
Oh, yeah?
I just feel like these guys have been so businesslike. They've come in, they've had the right attitude. You guys just talked about it. They're having fun, but you don't get for a minute that they're not taking this 100% seriously. And I feel like if it's not Croatia, it's going to be Scotland. All right, so why don't we talk a little bit, Sheldon, about sort of the team play aspect that we've seen here this weekend. This event is exclusively a team event, and that's not the norm for a Magic tournament. Normally it's, how am I doing? I got to go check my pairings, right? Where am I in the standings? And this is a completely different feel from that.
Mostly because the team players can share information, and they can basically play together. And the genius of letting the fourth guy that got eliminated on Friday still stay with the team and help them out means it really is team play. You'll see guys look at my hand.
Sure. Yes.
Should I mulligan this?
Yes, you see that all the time.
And sometimes there's some discussion.
Yep.
Sometimes there's some disagreement. Sometimes there's no, that's the everybody's like no, that's the right play. Go ahead and do it. So it brings the skill set of 4 people to each individual match.
Right.
You'll see the guy on the far end look down the aisle. How are you doing? When it's a power, like one of these powerhouse teams like Croatia, they usually are just doing a check back.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to do this. Show me where the landmines might be. Whereas with some other teams, where the leader is super high-profile player, and the other guys maybe a little less experienced, there's a little more direction from that player to the other ones. But it's really a team event because when you make a play, you're about to make a thing. Magic is a really complicated game.
Very tough game, it turns out.
And you gotta, you're working out a line of play, and not only are you going to go for it yourself. If again you're playing individually. If Zach gets it, Zach gets it. If Zach punts it, it's only Zach that's punted it.
Yeah. Which never happens.
No,
of course not.
And now in team play, not only do you have to think of the line of play, you have to convince 3 other guys that it's the right thing to do.
That's right.
And it leads to way better Magic.
I think so too, and I really feel like bringing this team aspect here the way that we did it is actually team play, right? We're not talking about 4 guys and then you meet up after to go, how did we do, guys, right?
Totally.
It's actually, look at my hand, what am I doing here? And we saw some pretty heated moments in the feature match area. If somebody made a play, the other guy disagreed. Why are you doing that? And the guy said, look, I had this. And I couldn't understand what they were saying, but but yeah, we saw some really heated stuff. Now, I am told that we are ready to go down to the booth.
Awesome.
So I'm ready to watch some action. What we're going to do is we're going to go watch the other matches because we want to cover as much of this as possible.
Sure.
And then when we come back in between, we're going to all be giving updates and doing stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited. I know you guys are too. Let's head down to the booth area and let's get these quarterfinals underway.